What's up, kayak family? My name's Wesley Littlefield, and today I'm talking about the Oldtown Sportsman. I recently took it out with my parents, and I've got to say this was my first time testing out a pedal kayak and fishing, and I really liked it overall. There are a few things that I didn't like, and there were several things that I really did like. There's another fish. I'm on the board with two. Another little guy. Quit flopping and I will get you off, dude. Why are the little ones always the feistiest? Right there. Looks like he was trying to eat himself. So let's start with what I did like. I liked having the control. So it was pretty windy when we went fishing. You know, we tried to stay in this little cove that was out of the wind a little bit, but then I went on into the main part of the lake, and there was bigger waves. Nothing that I wasn't uncomfortable with, but it was just enough that if I was having to paddle, I wouldn't like paddling against it. But it handled the wind really well. I was able to control my boat, stay about the distance I wanted off the shore, all that kind of stuff. And overall, the handling on it was really good. The one downside to handling is it's not a tight turning radius at all. There was one point that I had to do like a 3 or 4 point turn just to really get turned around in this little cove. And you know, having a paddle, I could have done it pretty quick and easy, but with these pedals and the way the rudder's designed, it didn't turn as sharp as I'd like it to. But I mean, it's a compromise, and I would have made it if I wanted to get another pedal kayak. But anyway, so that was the one thing, the handling wise, that I wasn't impressed with. But the next thing that I was impressed with was the stability. I didn't actually stand up in it on this trip, besides like getting in and out, but I never once felt like I was going to fall out. I never needed to stand up in it. You know, my mom doesn't stand up in it but to get in and out of it, but my dad will fish standing up a little bit out of it and stuff, and it holds them perfectly fine. I mean, you know, you need a little bit of balance, but for the most part, they're pretty sturdy and stable. They're a little bit wider kayak because they're a fishing kayak, so it's not just going to flip on you if you decide to adjust or anything like that. Stability on it is great. I actually never felt crowded. Now, I have a Nucanoe Unlimited and a Nucanoe Frontier 12, and they're both like 12 and a half foot kayaks, and these two are like 10 and a half foot kayaks. So I'm used to having 2 more feet of kayak to work with, and I was kind of worried that I'd feel cramped when I moved and was working with this, and I really didn't. Now, granted, I didn't take a lot of stuff with me, but I still had plenty of space if I did want to take anything else with me. So, you know, there's plenty there for a day of fishing. There's plenty of room there for that, and you know, like I said, I'm used to a bigger kayak with a lot more room, and I still didn't feel cramped on here. The next thing that I want to talk about is the seat. And once again, coming from a Nucanoe seat that swivels and everything, it's not that nice, but I wasn't uncomfortable in it by any means. It's a really comfortable seat. It adjusts a little bit, you know, sliding back and forth and turning around, like getting a fishing pole back behind me or accessing the storage back behind me. It wasn't difficult. There is a little storage tray down below the seat, and my tackle box really wasn't that big, but it kind of had a problem fitting. I could fit it in there, but it was very snug and it wasn't going anywhere. So if you have a thicker tackle box, it ain't gonna fit. You're gonna have to stick it back behind you and not have that quick access right below the seat. I mean, that's not a big deal to me, because there's storage back behind, and there's even a dry box area up to the front. The dry box area actually needs a bag, because if you stick something in it, that stuff can actually slide all the way to the back of the kayak, and then you can't access it without getting out and tipping your kayak forward and making it slide back to the front. So yes, it's a dry area, but at the same time, it needs something there to keep everything where you can reach it. The last thing that I'll talk about, the last good thing that I really liked about these kayaks, is the speed. Now, I didn't clock myself and I didn't try to go as fast as I could when I was testing it out, but me and my dad have played around and raced before, and I've had my trolling motor and actually my depth finder on my kayak showing my speed, and I got about to like 4.5-ish miles an hour, and my dad was able to keep up and almost pull away from me at that. Now, granted, not at a sustained distance, but you know, for 50 yards or whatever, he's able to keep up and go. And it's plenty fast for a day of fishing. The downside to it is it feels like you're pedaling in first gear going uphill the whole time. So you've got a lot of power feel, but it really burns on your legs, and you begin to feel it really soon, especially if you're not used to like riding a bike in low gears or not used to pedaling it like I was. And you know, I couldn't just burn it for a long distance, but I would never got tired of just, you know, scooting along the edge and at a fishing speed. So yes, it sucks if you want to go fast, but these kayaks weren't designed to go fast. They were designed just to get you there at a reasonable pace, and it does a good job of that. But now I'm going to talk about a few of the things that a few more things, I guess, that I see room for improvement, or that I just preferred that it would be a little bit different. And the first is, of course, the pedal drive. It's not shallow water friendly. You have to pull it up in order to go a foot deep, and you're hitting the bottom. So if it's 2 foot and deeper is really where it shines. So if you're trying to fish really shallow, you've got to pick up the pedal drive and mount it. It has a little mounting system thing that's really simple to use, but you've got to pick it up, hold it up, lock it in place, and then you've got a giant hole at your feet that a lot of water comes in. So this morning when we were fishing it was chilly and I didn't want to get my feet wet, but I really didn't have a choice, because when I stepped in, you know, you push all this water comes shooting up at your feet. And so that was kind of a downside. You know, like Hobie's design, I like that you can go shallow with it, but I don't like that it doesn't have instant reverse, where these you can't go shallow, but you can go instant reverse. So you're trading one for the other, in my opinion. You know, whichever one you need more, that's what I would go with. The last thing that I'll mention that I wasn't a huge fan of, and that is actually, I felt like when I was pedaling, I was pushing a lot of water. Let me explain what I mean. When I was going forward, especially when I was fighting the wind, I would hit a wake and it would push water, and then of course the wind would blow that water back up on me and into the kayak, and it wasn't streamlined as I thought it could be, as much as I thought it could be. But at the same time, it's a wide kayak, it's a fishing kayak, it's not designed to go fast, it's not designed to just slice through the water. But I think there could have been a little better compromise there. Now, I'm not a hull designer, so I don't know what exactly they could have done differently to prevent that. And that might just be because I'm used to my Nucanoe and I sit a little farther back, so even if it does splash over, it usually doesn't get on me. And here I'm setting a little closer forward, and it splashed me a little bit. It wasn't like I got soaking wet and it ruined my day of fishing, nothing like that. It was just a little annoying is all, because it was a little bit chilly that day. And so that would be the one thing that I didn't like about it. But overall, I was overly impressed with this kayak. You know, the Oldtown Sportsman, especially with the PDL, is great. One modification that my parents did make for like when we go on river trips, especially in shallow rivers, they actually cut a board out of the pattern so they could patch that hole with the PDL. And I think that would be, you know, it worked really well, and that's a great way to make this kayak multifunctional and not have to worry about buying another kayak if you want to float shallow rivers. And you'll see that they of course added like a crate and stuff on the back with rod holders. That's always nice if you want to bring more than rod holders, but there's built-in rod holders and everything. So overall, I really like this kayak, but I'm not going to go out and buy one just because I've already got two, and I think it would drive my wife even more nuts. So no worries there, I'm not going out to buy one, but I might take my parents for a spin every now and then just to scratch that itch a little bit. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any other questions about these, leave them down in the comments below. Otherwise, go live an awesome adventure.